Hey everybody, I like to take some time towards the end of the semester to kind of try to reconnect with everyone. I know that I've been giving quite a bit of feedback and responding to people's emails and things like that, but it is good to see each other and hear each other occasionally. So that's why I've done some things to have you do some voice recordings so I can hear you. And then also there was a request by a number of people in the formative assessments to have me come back in some more videos. And so I wanted to take some time to kind of revisit some earlier things in the semester to remind you of them so that you can start to think about using them as we move forward in the class. For example, in week 7, when we're talking about the 5 faces of oppression, that is one of the most important theoretical constructs of the class. So it's important to go back and think about the idea of exploitation, marginalization, cultural imperialism, powerlessness, and violence, especially in regards to the Guzman and Alcolcar readings that we looked at. Those can be used as sources if they happen to apply to any of the writing that you're doing moving forward. They're great tools for analysis, and especially for the civic engagement and reflective essay or the civic engagement reflective essay and the global solutions essay. Global solutions essay especially, I'd like to see multiple constructs related to the micro, meso, macro construct of identity, the idea of socialization that we looked at early on in the semester, ideas about ethical constructs, especially the 4 dilemma paradigms and some of the approaches to solving those dilemma paradigms, and then also 5 faces of oppression, and as we move forward in class, the idea of liberation and what can we do. Think about this too, the Global Solutions essay. If you haven't fully decided on what your topic is, it could be an extension of the readings of Invisible Hands. The book was published, 5 years ago, so it might be interesting to take a look and see, hey, has anything improved? For example, since Guzman was working in the wine industry in the Napa and Sonoma valleys, or has anything improved in terms of Indian farmers taking their lives, as you learned about in the Kolkar narrative. So I really enjoyed listening to your recordings, and so we're going to do a little bit more of that as we progress forward. And then also let's try to bulk up the participation in the discussions as we move forward. There was kind of a lag there for a few weeks in the middle of the semester, especially around probably the times where people were negotiating their time related to midterms and things like that. So try to finish as strong as possible, and I will too. Something to think about in terms of week 8 too. I had you apply your code of ethics to the idea of resource extraction, particularly through the Clive Porabu and the Barry Swanwick Kingston narratives. Don't forget that the ethical frameworks can be used in any paper. It can be used in any discussion. I'd like to see you come back to those frequently throughout the rest of the semester, especially in the Global Solutions essay. Also try to think about the idea of seeking out info. We have a lot of products that are made from things that are extracted around the world, and it's part of the system, and a lot of that system is hidden from us. And so one of the reasons why I have people read these things in class is to get people more aware of where their products come from, so we can start to make different ethical choices about how we buy the things that we do. And then also there's a lot of people in the class who may end up as part of an industry that has a supply chain that comes from somewhere, and it's good to put pressure on people to try to have ethical supply chains. It's super hard to change systems, and it's pretty impossible to change systems through just personal choices alone. So eventually there needs to be pressure on leaders, policymakers, and those who hold political and economic power. Going back a little bit to week 9 and the idea of labels, I wanted to talk about the idea of political correctness, which popped up quite a few times in there. There is a frustration over political correctness. It can go too far and can limit our abilities to have frank, productive discussions. And I think the seeds of political correctness had really good intentions to start with. Having us focus and rethink the language that is a product of an oppressive system. And so it's got good things to it, but eventually it became something where people are trying to trap each other and like rip on each other. It's like, hey, you didn't use the right word, so you must be racist, or you didn't use the right word, so you must be sexist. And that's pretty counterproductive. So how do we both be aware of how words can affect each other and how label can affect other people, while simultaneously trying to find language that we can establish as common ground to really solve some problems and really make a difference. Here's an example of one that maybe people haven't thought about much, but the word guys. I can walk into my classes and say, hey guys, could you get into small groups for our discussion? And nobody bats an eye, nobody blinks, nobody has a problem with that. And then if I say, okay ladies, everybody get together and have a discussion, and if I'm implying that everyone in the room is ladies, the guys get really offended for some reason because they're being called women, and that suggests a sexist structure where women are seen as weaker, and if you refer to a man as a woman, that man takes offense to it. It's a really interesting thing, right? Hey guys, how's it going? Versus, hey ladies, how you doing? In mixed company, in terms of gender identity, you'll have different reaction, and that suggests something as a problem or a power structure within our language. Obviously, it might not have huge effects, but it has a subconscious effect on a lot of people. And I'd like you to start considering those small things and maybe think about using slightly different words. It's not going to be necessarily revolutionary, but it might change people's ideas about the sex power structure and gender power structure in our language. That's all I have to say today, and I will continue to do a few more videos so that we can maintain a little bit more lively class that is a little bit less text-based. That was one of the requests from some of the assessments. Thanks, and I'll see you later.